Imagine, in the dead of night, the faint sound of a doorknob turning sends shivers down your spine. This is the eerie tale we dive into today, the chilling story of a homeowner who found themselves not so alone during the most isolating time of their life, the lockdown. Picture the scene. A quaint house nestled in the suburbs, its silence broken only by the ticking of the clock and the occasional creak of the floorboards. Our homeowner, let's call them Sam, was enjoying the quiet solitude that the lockdown brought along. The days were peaceful, the nights even more so. But as the saying goes, it's always calm before the storm. One night, in the eerie silence, Sam began to notice strange sounds, discreet at first, like the gentle whisper of a breeze, or the soft ticking of the clock. It was easy to dismiss these sounds as mere house noises, the building settling down for the night. After all, when you're alone in a quiet house, your imagination tends to play tricks on you. But as the nights grew darker and the silence deeper, the sounds became more pronounced. A doorknob turning, the sound of footsteps, a shadow flickering in the corner of the eye. Sam's initial dismissal turned into a creeping sense of dread, a gnawing fear that something was amiss. The house that once provided comfort and solitude now seemed to harbour an unseen intruder. The walls that once felt safe now seemed to close in, creating a sense of isolation and vulnerability. The climax of this terrifying tale came one cold, silent night. A clear sound of a door creaking open, followed by the chilling echo of footsteps. The horrifying realization hit Sam like a punch to the gut. There was indeed an intruder in the house. But who was it? What did they want? And in that chilling silence, the homeowner was left to wonder, was the intruder still lurking somewhere in the shadows? In the quiet of lockdown, a neighbour's home can hold the most disturbing secrets. Imagine this. You're living in a peaceful suburban neighbourhood. The houses are close-knit, the residents even closer. Friendly waves and casual chats over the fence are the norm. But then the pandemic hits. The lockdown is imposed, and the once lively neighbourhood falls eerily silent, save for the occasional barking of dogs or rustling of leaves. In this unsettling quiet, you begin to notice something odd about the house next door. The blinds are always drawn, the lights flicker inconsistently, and there's an unusual hum that you can hear only in the dead of night. You shrug it off at first, attributing it to an aged electrical system, or perhaps the neighbour's newfound fondness for late-night television. But then, the oddities multiply. There's a peculiar smell, a mixture of damp and decay, wafting from the house. You notice the neighbour, once a jovial figure, now appears gaunt, his eyes carrying a haunted look. The friendly waves turn into curt nods, the casual chats, a thing of the past. The unease grows, gnawing at your peace of mind. You find yourself staring at the house more often, trying to decipher the enigma it has become. The proximity, once comforting, now serves to heighten your paranoia. Then one chilly night the hum grows louder, more urgent. The smell intensifies. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, you decide to investigate. What you find sends a shiver down your spine and turns your blood cold. The neighbour's house, once a beacon of suburban normalcy, is hiding a sinister secret, a chilling discovery that leaves you reeling. The friendly neighbour, the cordial chats, the peaceful suburbia, all shroud a disturbing reality, a horror story that unfolds right next door under the veil of lockdown. As the truth came to light, the neighbour's house, once a symbol of comfort, now stood as a haunting reminder of the hidden horrors next door. In the digital world, even the safety of your own home can't protect you from the lurking horrors. Picture this, a quiet evening, a solitary figure lit by the soft glow of a computer screen. The lockdown had pushed everyone indoors, and for some, the internet became their only window to the outside world. One such individual was our protagonist, a regular Joe, ensnared in the web of the World Wide Web. At first it was an anonymous message, a harmless hello from a stranger. The online world teems with such interactions, doesn't it? But then the messages became more frequent, more personal. Joe's favourite hobbies, his preferred coffee, even the colour of his curtains. The stranger knew them all. Alarm bells began to ring, but Joe dismissed them as mere coincidences. After all, he reasoned, who would be interested in an unremarkable person like him? But then The stranger crossed a line. One day Joe received a message that sent a chill down his spine. It was a picture of his living room taken from outside his window with a single line of text. "Nice place you got there, Joe." The realization hit him like a freight train. He was not alone. He was being watched, stalked, and he was powerless to stop it. His own home, his sanctuary, had been violated. The feeling of safety he once took for granted was shattered, replaced by a gnawing fear that made his skin crawl. The lockdown, meant to keep the dangers of the world at bay, had instead trapped him with his nightmare. In the ensuing days, Joe reported the incident, changed his online habits, and even moved houses. But the damage was done. The invisible spectre of the stalker continued to haunt him, an ever-present reminder of the dark side of the digital world. As the screen went dark, a chilling question lingered. In the age of technology, is there any place truly safe? The echoes of these lockdown horror stories serve as a grim reminder of the unseen terrors that lurk in the shadows. Fear, a primal instinct, has a way of creeping into our lives, especially when we are isolated and vulnerable. These three stories we've just shared are more than just spine-chilling incidents. They're tales of human experience, of the terror that can grip us when our safe havens turn into houses of horror. The first tale, The Silent Intruder, is a stark reminder of how our homes, our sanctuaries can be invaded in the blink of an eye. The fear and uncertainty that the silent intruder brought with him lingered long after his physical presence was gone. This is the power of fear. It can silently creep into our lives and take up residence in our minds, making us question every sound, every movement, every moment of solitude. In the second story, The Unseen Neighbor, we saw how the fear of the unknown can be even more terrifying than a visible threat. The unseen neighbor, a lurking presence, managed to instill a constant sense of unease, a fear that's often more crippling than any physical danger. The human mind, isolated and under stress, can become a breeding ground for fear, turning shadows into monsters and whispers into screams. Our third story, Online Terror, presented a different kind of horror. It showed us how the virtual world, a place we often turn to for escape and connection, can become a sinister playground for those with malicious intent. The psychological impact of such an experience, the violation of personal space and security, can leave a lasting imprint of fear and distrust. These stories, these echoes of fear, remind us of the unseen terrors that can lurk in any corner at any time. They show us how isolation can amplify our fears, turning the mundane into the macabre, but they also remind us of our resilience, our courage, and our ability to face our fears, no matter how dark the shadows may seem. In the silence of lockdown, every creak, every shadow, every click echoes with the chilling tales of unseen horrors. In the face of such chilling tales, one can't help but wonder, how does one escape the nightmare? Let's delve into the resilience and survival instincts that led our characters to their liberation. Remember the silent intruder. Our lead character managed to escape by keeping her wits about her. She didn't let fear paralyze her. Instead, she used it as a catalyst, a driving force to act swiftly and decisively, contacting the authorities while maintaining a calming facade to not alert the intruder. Moving on to the unseen neighbor, the victim's survival was hinged on his ability to trust his instincts. When he noticed the peculiar, unsettling events around his home, he didn't dismiss them as mere coincidences. His trust in his intuition led him to set up surveillance, which eventually unmasked the unseen terror living right next door. Now let's revisit the online terror. In this digital era, where danger can lurk behind a screen, our character's escape was a testament to the power of knowledge and awareness. When she realized she was being stalked online, she didn't panic. She reached out to the right channels, used her knowledge of cybersecurity to protect herself, and turned the tables on her pursuer. Finally, in the echoes of fear, the story where fear itself was the enemy, our protagonist overcame his fear by confronting it. He didn't let his paranoia consume him. Instead, he faced it head-on, seeking help and finding ways to cope, proving that sometimes the only way out is through. Each one of these stories paints a picture of resilience, of the indomitable human spirit that refuses to succumb to fear. They remind us that no matter how terrifying the circumstances, we possess the strength to navigate our way out, to end the nightmare. Even in the darkest of times, the human spirit finds a way to light the path towards survival, leaving behind the chilling echoes of the lockdown horror stories.